welcome into 4th and 5, back at it once again with another episode, a Thanksgiving edition of today's 4th and 5. I'm DJ Williams, that's Josh Throne, and we're going to be talking about it all. We're going to talk about transfer portal. We're going to talk about recruits. We're going to talk about NIL, how much it's impacting the game. I mean, we got you covered, and it's going to be a good one here today. Thanks so much for joining in. We always appreciate everybody that's starting to subscribe to the channel. It really does mean a lot. Y'all continue to do so. We'll continue to grow. And as we've been hearing, Josh, a lot of people just really appreciate us keeping it real. But I don't want to confuse that with a lot of people sometimes come up to me, Josh, and they're just like, DJ, man, you're crushing these guys. You're really getting after them. You're like, yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with it. You know, we just see the tape and we call it like we see it. And if there's praise to be given, then we're going to be on here talking great things. There's just not.
We would much rather be talking great things. Much rather be talking about.
There's no doubt about it. And you know, people all the time said, "Man, how do you get down there on the field after just?" This is the thing. I do honestly believe that if I was sitting here and you were sitting here and we were talking positive things about this football program that has 4 wins on the season, then we got an issue as a fan base if we're okay with that. And I know everyone inside that locker room and football program would feel the exact same way. But like I said, we got a lot to talk about. We've been keeping up with social media. So much going on, Josh. And real quick, thoughts after last game and leading up to Missouri, do those games really even matter as much as the impact of making the fan base happy or not?
No, I don't think so. I think we're just kind of at that point at the end of the season where everybody is honestly drained from Arkansas football. Most of the people that I know have already moved on to basketball season, and that's really all they want to talk about. They're happy for Thanksgiving. I don't think they're so happy about having to watch Arkansas football on Friday, but hey, we got diehard fans out here. I'm never going to complain about Arkansas football. And if you look at it like this, if you want to do this to yourself, maybe we can upset Missouri. I don't know. Maybe we can. That's a lot to hope for. But you know what Arkansas fans are really good at? Hoping for things. Yeah, so I think that I'm excited to just watch us play, one last game this season. Hopefully we see some sort of bright side ending the season and maybe get a little peek into what we can do if we can get things right. Do I think we're going to win against Missouri? Absolutely not. But, hey, remember in 2008 when we beat LSU at the end of the season? We didn't have a bowl game on the line. That was awesome to see. So maybe we can do it. Maybe there really is a rivalry with Missouri.
So I would say the biggest things to kind of watch of this game is what happens after the game. That's when you really start finding out who's staying, who's going. Transfer portal's going to be insane. I know it is. And I know right now of a guy on our football team, and as much as viewers, I know you want me to say it, but I still have a loyalty to this program because I've been a part of it, so I'm going to keep names out of it. But I will say this. There is somebody on that team right now that is thinking about leaving the University of Arkansas. And it's a guy we can't see go. And the reason I say that, just too much of a talent to waste somewhere else. And a lot of it is interesting, Josh. And this is where
well, I don't know who you're talking about, but I can tell you who I think is going to go. Rocket Sanders has got to be looking across the league wondering where the heck he's going to go. And I can tell you, I can tell you right now he's thinking about that. So I don't know if that's really the guy you're talking about. You have not shared that with me for viewers' sake.
Regardless of who it is, you can throw Rocket in there. Obviously, what's KJ going to do? He has another year of eligibility. Do you want him to come back depending on the offensive coordinator you bring on, or do you want to start building to the future? If he does come back, how much money is it going to cost where we could maybe spend that money somewhere else? And it's crazy we're even doing this in college football anyway, but it is what it is. You'll talk more about how that kind of works with NIL later. But specifically this guy I'm talking about, and it's frustration from the players' end. Frustration, which I would assume everyone gets. But also at the same time, this player, there's an aspect of his game that he needs to work on that has prevented him from doing better this year. It prevented him from getting on the field more, to being more involved. And it's to the point to where this is where I really think the portal is hurting people, because if a coach says, you're not getting on this field unless you do this. Now, I get that may not be what you are brought here to do, but it's still a very important part of the game. Example, let's just talk about blocking. You know, some receivers, running backs, tight ends, they're not the best when, you know, they're not very excited to block all the time. But if you don't do it, you just jeopardize your team. And, you know, and if it's something you refuse to do, I would be like the coaches as well. Well, get your butt on the sideline. I get you're a big time playmaker and you can do all this, but if you don't do this and work on this aspect of your game, then you can't play. Well, now these players are saying, okay, I'll transfer somewhere else. Well, they'll just let me play and let me just be me. The thing is, I'll say this with Sam Pittman and a lot of the things that they're working on in that football field, it may not look like it, but I know the conversations are happening. The things that they demand and expect for their players right now on this football team are the same things that are going to be expected at the next level in the NFL. And I can guarantee you, if you're not going to be a willing blocker in the league, you won't even be on a roster. That's just how it works. But at that level, those guys who are big-time playmakers, man, they take pride in it. And they take it personal. And they're so physical. A perfect example, OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. You saw those plays where him and Josh Norman, DB, were getting into it. They're almost fighting while they're blocking. Right. Like, they take that stuff serious. It's not just all, you know, the glamour and all that fun stuff. So that's where it just gets hard because it's preventing coaches from really trying to help and develop these players and saying, if you don't do this, you don't play. And then they just say, I leave. And I think that is, one, I think it's soft. One, I think it's unfortunate, and it's going to just be a problem for all coaches moving forward. Those old school coaches, you would say.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit because I want to kind of combat you on that just a tad. I think some of these coaches need to get with the game, the way the game is played today. I think there's a lot of rule changes, not only with the transfer portal, but obviously with NIL. And if you don't get with the program, you're going to get left in the dust. And you can see that that's already happening this season, at least here at Arkansas. I think it has a lot to do with the way that we approach NIL. I think it's got a lot to do with the way that we go out and fundraise money. I think it's got a lot to do with the way that we're approaching, you know, this offseason is going to have a lot to do with the way that we approach the portal. If you're a player, all that's really happened since July of 2021 when the Supreme Court ruled for the NIL situation to change where players can get paid for the name, image, and likeness, and we've now had this transfer portal change as well so you don't have to sit out a year. All that's really done is add value and a focus on players' rights. That's all it's really done. So think about it like this. I mean, DJ, you were fortunate enough to come into college and actually play your freshman year. Coach Nutt loved you. And then you got taken over by Bobby Petrino, and he liked you enough to play you at least. But, you know, it's hard to ever tell if he liked you, but he seemed to have liked you because you got played.
Yeah.
But what about the guys who didn't? I think there's a lot of guys who played behind you even and across the teams that you were teammates with that if they didn't have to go sit out a year, they might have taken up on that transfer opportunity. And we know for a fact there were guys that were sitting on Arkansas's team that were good enough to go play other places, and not having that film could have cost them a future in the NFL. Because if you don't have film, you don't have anything. How many times have scouts said at pro days, oh, man, he looked pretty good, but where's his film? That always comes down to it. You have to have film to get in the NFL. I mean, there's always miracles, but if you don't have that, your chances are slim to none as is. But with no film, good luck. So I think that with the transfer portal rules now, it's player focused. These kids can actually get themselves out of a situation where maybe they were promised something in recruiting and that hasn't panned out. Maybe there's been a coaching change and that hasn't panned out. Maybe other guys have transferred in and it hasn't panned out. The problem is players only have a certain amount of time in college to capitalize on their time to get film. Why would we ever? It seems crazy that we ever even gave players discipline of losing a year of eligibility just because they wanted to go to a different school that would actually play them. I understand your point, but I think where we are today, the problems that we face today with the transfer portal is a lot better position for players, at least, than it was prior with the old rules of punishing players for making the decision to go somewhere that's going to best benefit them, their family, their future, their money, everything. It does not make sense for it to be any other way.
I think it could be circumstantial. I don't like the free-for-all that it is now, where you're going out and opening it back up to recruiting, doing the scholarships and all this without this sitting out consequence. And the reason I say that, because I don't think it was broken before by any means. But there were some circumstances where I get a player transferring, especially if you commit to a school, you get there. And Ryan Mallett, perfect example, goes to Michigan. The offense is set up great for a guy like him. His coach then gets fired after his freshman year. They bring in a coach, Rodriguez, I believe, and he's a dual threat system. And we know Ryan Mallett, great arm, but he's slow. He dumb slow, as Joe Adams would say. So I get that. That makes sense to me. And that happens for a lot of players, and I think there should be exceptions. But the reason I say it hasn't been broken, I mean, there's been so many successful players that have transferred, set out a year, and then their true potential really shines. I mean, national championship quarterback, Joe Burrow. He was at Ohio State he was third string, sitting behind two superstars, transferred. Jalen Hurts was at Alabama, goes to OU. Baker Mayfield. I mean, we got Heisman winners, Kyler Murray. I mean, the list goes on of all these guys who transferred before this portal era, and the talent is just, it always prevails. The thing I just don't like is how quick a player now is to get their feelings hurt by the way someone talks to them, or they sometimes get beat out in competition and they refuse to look in the mirror and understand, I didn't lose my starting spot because the coach just didn't want me to start, but I just didn't work hard enough to keep it. And so I think there's just a lot of gray area. I think it's very circumstantial. I just don't like it. I just don't like it being like the wild west of players just going here or there and them baiting them with NIL money to transfer.
Well, hold on. Let me press you on this for a second, because think about this. With the whole coaching portal perspective, right? You don't want your players to have that option because hey, look, you committed to this team. You said you were going to commit to this team. Well, let's be real. The entire college football industry is $1 billion industry. From everybody, from the organization. Finally, the players can make a little bit of money for their name off the field, right? But it's $1 billion industry. Mm-hmm. They weren't complaining when the NCAA said, "Oh, you don't have to fulfill your contract. You can just take another job with a team that pays you more. If you have some success here at this school, you can leave your kids. You can leave the offense. You can leave your quarterbacks. You can go take a job elsewhere." Why can they do it, but the players can't? The players are the ones going on the field playing. I'm not saying your points are wrong. I'm just saying you got to look at the whole thing. Well, okay, let's look at it like this. If a coach actually has to actively recruit his current roster, doesn't that create for better relations amongst on the team? He showed me all that love, came into my family's living room, said X, Y, and Z, told my mama this, I'm gonna take care of your boy. Oh, your boy got a knee injury. He's not what he was. I just kind of moved on from him year 3. I've got to invest in these younger 4 stars that I recruited.
Yeah.
Well, hold on now. What happened to everything you promised? If the threat of a player being able to move and transfer whenever he feels unwanted or that he doesn't have a path for him forward, that actually allows for a coach to actively recruit your players and maintain positive relationships with your players. I think the coaches should embrace it and say, hey, you know what? If you want to go into the portal, because here's the mentality of coaches now. If you go into the portal, there's no coming back, right? If you leave this team, if you go, figure out if there's any interest in you. Well, I mean, what coach is going? Yeah, go to the portal. Go to the portal. Figure out what else is out there, and then we'll have a spot for you when you come back. No. Everybody uses the threat of the portal. So if that's what you want to do, you want to walk out on this team, blah blah blah. Well, how about what, son? I want the best for you. If you think there's something else better out there for you, well then go ahead. If you don't want to lose them in the first place, why would you turn them away if they just dip their toes in the portal to see what it was? They may come back with more appreciation for you, especially if you were actively recruiting them saying, you know what, we wanted you then and we want you now. Okay. If that was the approach that the coaches took, I think you'd have a whole lot healthier transfer portal situation. But a lot of these old heads just don't want to get on board. Okay. I get it. And you look at it from that perspective.
I think you're also missing the aspect, too, about the relationship aspect between coach and player. Entertain me, if you will. Say you're a girl. Right. She's like, hey, babe, I'm not really feeling a lot of love over here. I think we got a good thing going on. but I'm just curious about what else is out there. Do you mind if I kind of go, dip my toe here or there? And if I don't find anything, can I come back? You don't think that's going to mess up your relationship?
Hold on, baby. What have I been doing wrong? You know I care about you, right? Have I not been showing you that lately? Have I not been giving you my time lately? Have I not been telling you how much you mean to me lately? Have I not been putting the actions there to show you how much I care about you? Now, if that's the case, maybe I see why she wants to step out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, so it tells me somebody ain't handling business at home.
See, that's okay. All right, Bill Belichick. I'm sitting in a team meeting room, and it was wild because I went from Green Bay to Mike McCarthy, who sometimes would open up conversations to allow players to complain or try to make players feel good, say good job here. Bill Belichick, he shuts that down as soon as that meeting starts. And one thing that always stuck with me, he says, I'm not going to, if you want to leave because I'm not patting you on your back, telling you good job for doing the stuff you're supposed to do, this ain't the place for you. Go, by all means, go on. I'll trade your first-round draft pick. I'll send you to Cleveland for a 7th-round draft pick and not blink an eye about it. His big thing was, I will get on to you for when you make mistakes and try to coach you to be a better player, even if it hurts your feelings. But I'm not going to sit here and pat you on the back for doing what you're supposed to do. And I love that. And you think of the environment that builds, Josh. I hear what you're saying about, as long as I cater to them and I make them feel special. And a coach don't need to worry about that. We grown men. You know what I mean? Grow up or go find something else to do. And I'm just saying, if you want to build a program that consistently competes at a high level in college football, there is no room to worry about catering to these soft-minded emotions all the time. It's just the way that it is. I know some players think that's the way it should be. Then by all means, go to that program and see how it works out. But I don't see Saban sitting there begging anybody to stay at a program. If you want to go, by all means, go. But you ain't coming back here.
If that's the case, then they need to stop complaining about the portal transfer rules. And they need to say, hey, well, if these soft-minded kids want to transfer, well, then they're not meant for my team. And so we shouldn't be arguing about the portal rules to begin with, because then the coaches shouldn't care. All I'm saying here is that at the end of the day, the big difference between your NFL pro example with Belichick, I understand the mindset. I get the mindset. I don't disagree with the mindset. Everybody wants to find guys like that who just come and they're dedicated and they're going to work hard no matter what. But the reality is, in the NFL, as long as you work hard and perform, you can stay in the NFL. There's a time limit on your time to perform so that you can get to the NFL. And beforehand, it was even worse because you can't even make money in college. So you could waste 4 years, 5 years in college in a program that's not meant for you just because you're going to get penalized to transfer. Finally, these kids can. And I'm just saying, it is a players first. It's a players first mentality, and it doesn't always jive with coaches because coaches have been coaches first. We got $1 million contracts that are floating around. The coaches have been coaches first. You didn't hear a bunch of coaches going, whoa, too much money involved in college sports. We're getting paid too much money. You didn't hear that, and you won't hear that. But this is a players first, and fans don't get down with it either because it doesn't benefit your program. Now, all I'm saying is I understand that. I get those sides of the perspective. But what if we became a portal, a supporting portal coaching staff, and we said, you know what? We want the best for you. If that's going to be better for you than right here, then by all means go. And if you dip your toes out there and you realize we're best for you, then come back. We want you. If we replace you in the meantime, that's just how the world works. But I think you'll retain more people with that attitude than you'll retain it with the old head attitude of, oh yeah, we shouldn't have this portal. The portal sucks. You go into that portal, you walk out on this team. No, they're not walking out on the team. They want to play for you. They're just not playing. They want to play for a winning team. You're just not winning. There's a lot of reasons why people move. So you just got to let it. If you were creating a successful environment where people were playing and winning, well, they'd stay. So there's something wrong here. And if they're not playing, why are you so upset? Because they're not playing as a freshman, you want to develop them? Okay, well, this is coming on to you as a coach to manage your roster more actively instead of holding these kids hostage to saying that they have to be penalized for transfers. And I know there's going to be a lot of fans that don't like that, a lot of old mentalities, but that's not that's not reality anymore. So you can have that mentality, but that ain't reality, and we got to get with the program to best succeed today.
Okay, if that's the case, cool. Let it be. So be it. And if you're going to treat it like that, then obviously it gets a little muddy with these players that have plenty of opportunity, but then they start chasing the money. This is where the NIL kind of gets into the transfer portal, as well as conversations that are happening that I don't know if they're legal or not. NCAA standards of saying, hey, if you come here, we'll give you this, even though you're on the roster there. Come on, transfer. I'm not sure. But to go along with that, the way you set it up, Josh, it seems like it is professional sports. And then if
that's what it is.
Yeah, if that's the case, then by all means, if you want to leave, enter the transfer portal, then I think coaches also at the same time should then have the ability, I believe, after you sign your scholarship, it's almost like a year by year kind of like a coach can decide to pull it. Deion Sanders went to Buffalo and got rid of a lot of those guys that were on scholarship, brought in new guys. But I think they can't necessarily do it week to week or mid-season. I think that should then be opened up for the coaches saying, okay, fine, let's open up the transfer portal. But the minute I feel like you're not going to benefit this team, I know you got class, I know you got this, but I'm going to go ahead and pull that scholarship and find somebody else. They don't want to do that, though.
Listen, everybody's loving what Deion Sanders doing this with the University of Colorado. I like it too, but that's kind of what he did when he went in. He said, leave because I've got my bag packed. I got my bags packed in their Louis. So, I mean, he came in and told those guys that. It's just we're always in support of when it's university first mentality. We're always supportive of it when it's the coach's first mentality until he leaves us. But we're hardly ever players' first mentality, and they're the only ones that are limited with time. And so they have to make the most of it. And when it becomes your kid in your family, when it becomes you actually playing in college sports, and you're in a situation where you're not winning, you're not playing on TV, you're not getting the film, whatever it might be, you might make a business decision because everybody else around you is making business decisions. But when it comes to the players, we don't want to call it a business. It doesn't make any sense anymore. And we've just taken baby steps. We're inching our way there. But it is professional sports. We're just not calling it that. The NCAA just isn't recognizing the university to pay the players as employees. And I know you want to dive into NIL. I'm ready at any moment to tell you what I think about the NIL.
Before we move to that, I want to put a bow on this. All right. So you're saying my way of me personally, I can only put myself in the situation of thinking that I'm not necessarily committing to a coach. I'm not committing to what I do once I get there and all this stuff. I wanted to just commit to the University of Arkansas. I wanted to be a Razorback, and I committed to that program. Didn't care who the coach was. And who reminded me of that was actually even Houston Nutt, because, he got fired. Petrino came into town. I was like, who is this guy? I can't stand him. I love Coach Nutt, and I wanted to go to Ole Miss. Can't believe I'm even saying that. And through that whole process of trying to get ready to transfer, talking to Coach Nutt while he was at Ole Miss, he told me, hold on now, DJ. I don't ever want you to quit on anything. I know you're my guy, and I want you to be a rebel. Best days of your life. We can do it here too. But at the end of the day, you made a commitment, and I think you should see it through. And I was like, So I saw it through, gave it a shot, and obviously it worked out for me. But how awesome is that a coach at a different school who would love to have you there stuck to the original commitment of saying, let's not lose sight of what we're doing here. And he was just building a young man. He was building character, and he was building a quality in a kid at the time of saying, just because things don't work out the way you want them to now, you can leave and try to go find it somewhere else and quit, or you can put in the work and make it happen. And that's the opportunity that it gave me. Maybe I'm just hopeful in thinking that's the way that it should be done. It's just unfortunate that it's not,
I agree. You know what I felt like that was? I felt like that was a Hallmark movie. And that's not reality all the time.
It is reality.
Houston Nutt brought you in and said,
it is reality.
You made a commitment to the University of Arkansas. I need you to stay there,
No,
stick it
hey,
out.
hey, hey, hey,
No,
hey.
don't get me wrong. Hey, don't get me
It's the
wrong. I
truth.
believe he said it. But
It was
I'm saying
it was a man
there's
to
very
man. Don't
hey,
quit just because it ain't working out your way.
there's very few men that are that honorable in this, and that's a rare instance in a big picture, in a big ocean of college sports. So I commend him and I commend you for doing that, and it did work out for you. There's a different world where you're a different player and there's different circumstances. And you're going, I should have transferred, and so I just think that it should always be, with the time limit for the players, especially. I want to see good athletes make it and make their dreams come true. I don't like to see rules from the NCAA hinder them. And so I'm going to, as much as I want, when Arkansas doesn't benefit from the transfer rules, I can't stand it. But then I go, man, I wish the coach would have actively recruited them, right? I wish he would maintain that relationship so that we could have kept him. Or, hey, I wish he would have won so we were more of an attractive school to stay at. There's a lot of pieces to the pie. But I hear what you're saying.
Let's hop to the other piece of the pie, this NIL stuff. So that's been a big talker all week. Sam Pittman has made comments saying we need to do better there. We are going to do better there. We need more money. And I honestly don't even know how it works. I've heard rumors. Yeah, they gave KJ a 7-figure collective deal, whatever that means. And he's chartering private jets for his mom, and he's got all these things, and I'm just sitting back, mind blown. And I don't know if there's a cap on a university's collective thing or whatever. I'm just thinking, out of all the money we have, I can't wrap my mind around giving $1 million. I would say specifically to KJ at this level of competition, when you have so many other areas on the football team that if you are spending money like that, maybe more should be spent on the offensive line. Maybe more should be spent here or there. I just don't know how it sort of works. But you are very familiar with the NIL when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to the portal, when it comes to players getting money from the university through a collective, whatever that is, right, and through marketing deals. Break it down for us.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I just want to give a little bit of background so you understand that I'm not just blowing smoke here. I know more than most about this particular industry. Years ago, when I was straight out of college, I started working with a sports agency called Players First Sports. DJ was a part of that agency. He was one of the athletes on the team. And so NIL is something we did with all of our NFL athletes. It just wasn't called NIL. You're just working off the field marketing deals and endorsements. He's getting paid for being DJ Williams, having good character, being on a team in the NFL, his popularity. They're using him as a marketing avenue for their brand. And we did this with, 30, 40, 50 different players across the NFL. My job was specifically marketing off the field for players. So when you hear NIL, obviously everybody knows name, image, and likeness, and that just means they're getting paid for that. But college opened this up in July 2021, or the Supreme Court did, and they said, okay, players can start getting paid for this, but they can't get paid from the universities because that would make them employees. So if the University of Arkansas cuts a check to these players, they're therefore employees and they're considered amateurs. But Supreme Court said, yeah, but you can't tell them they can't make money off of their name, image, and likeness because everybody else is. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
So
sure,
that allowed for basically off the field marketing opportunities for them. So things that I was doing for you and other guys back in the day, we would partner with United Way, and you would do signings and appearances and different endorsement deals and opportunities for them. We would get you a deal with a brand company like Nike. Now, Nike was very interesting back then. They didn't really they didn't make you go and do a commercial or an endorsement or anything like that. But what they did want to do is line your pockets with about $20,000 to $25,000 worth of in-store credit, more or less, merchandise that you can use with them. And you were giving away golf sets and shoes, and DJ would say, hey man, I've got like $5,000 left. I bought all the Nike stuff I can buy. Do you want anything? It's on the, just log into the account. So there's were these types of deals, Verizon Wireless signing and appearances. Well, now college athletes are being able to do that off the field. So they're being able to make money. Now, what happened is when that happened, the NFLPA also ruled that NFL agents can now work NIL marketing deals with college players, where prior you could get in trouble with the NFLPA if you're an NFL agent, the Players Association regulates you and is kind of your governing authority. They would actually crack down on you if you talk to NFL players, or I'm sorry, talk to college players and try to kind of actively recruit them, get them money on the side, that kind of thing. They'd say basically, that's a no-go. So they opened that door up. Well, I think what happened is there's always been this silent kind of like disdain, right, between college organizations and NFL agencies, because the agents would always, try to rub shoulders with the players, build a relationship with them while they're in college so that they can sign them as soon as their last game is over. You remember how that was, right? And so there's always been this kind of, don't let the agents get close to our players. Well, that unleashed, the gates with that. Well, at the same time, the universities want to keep their hands in control on things, as you can imagine. They don't want their players to get in any trouble. They want to be able to provide the right type of education to their players so they're making smart deals. They want to be able to be a source for the athletes that they're recruiting to make the most out of this now that it become legal, because that's a recruiting strategy in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So the Razorback Foundation, more or less, is the foundation that was raising money for all the different sports and athletic programs, the facilities, but also they would help with paying coaches and the different salaries that the university would offer to these players. We would raise money. That's how we're able to give these $1 million contracts, right? So when this happened, they created kind of a sub entity, not the university, but more or less the foundation has. It may not actually be legally connected. One Razorback One or One Razorback, whatever our NIL collective is called, something like that, is its own LLC. But it rubs shoulders very tightly with the Razorback Foundation and with the university. Now, there's no official business that can happen between coaches and the collective. They can't go over there and say, hey, I want you to pay this guy, and here's who you're going to pay. It can't work like that, right? But that there's backdoor conversations.
Yeah, there has to be.
100%. The coaches, how do these collectives know who to give endorsement deals and who to offer endorsement deals out of high school and or out of other colleges that are these players enter the portal? So they do communicate. Their communication can't be official communication, but it's communication nonetheless. So these collectives, and every university kind of has one now that's worth anything. Mm-hmm. They are actively raising money. They are made up of different people who donate to the program as is, whether those are business owners, investors, people who have ties and want to see Arkansas do good. So they're collectively putting money in a big pot, and they're trying to figure out, okay, who do we need to get? Well, maybe I heard coach say this, maybe that's who we need to give this deal to. And so we then offer those deals to those players. Now, I haven't actually heard anything about KJ Jefferson getting a 7-figure deal. That's talking about $1 million. I haven't heard anything like that. 6 figures, yes. And multiple different players on our team have some 6-figure deals. How that happens is there's kind of two schools of collectives. There's the donor collective, right, where you put that money into the pool, and that's basically given for, they'll say signings, appearances, charity work, things that, the people that are within the collective, they are also the same people that were mixing and mingling with the foundation. So they have their charities and their things that these players tend to go to, and they tend to support the program, or they're very intertwined with the program. And so the players will have different signings and appearances and things they have to go to. That's a part of that collective earning, that NIL money that was, given to them to come. Now, that money is typically given. It's not a performance-based deal. And I know you don't like that. No. You would love to see things start to be performance-based, but as of right now, it's not performance-based. So these players get that money kind of whether or not they play, more or less, or perform up to that level. So that's one avenue that I think that you're going to actually start seeing in the future is NILs are going to start to become more performance-based. The other kind of school of collectives is more or less like the business, the marketplace collective, like some representative within the Arkansas Razorback One or One Razorback Collective. They probably have people that are actively trying to solicit and get deals, right? And so you can imagine, I don't know any of this for a fact, but let's just play out a scenario where a coach is trying to recruit a basketball coach Muss is trying to recruit a basketball player to come here. Well, we've got to compete with the other schools that are doing that. So I can only imagine that there's some phone calls over there to say, hey, what can we offer this guy? Or so-and-so, or I heard that Clemson's going to give him, this much, can we put together a package? Can we get someone to buy this? And the coaches now, more than they want to, have to become active solicitors for the collectives to come up with opportunities for their players to make more money, because that's ultimately what it is. The players and their families are going, well, what do you guys really bring to the table? That's what they're asking the recruiters and the coaches. I mean, what kind of deals am I going to be offered? So then you got to bring in the collectives, and somehow that message has to get to them. So you know that there's communications happening, but we have more of the outbound marketing where people are going to hunt deals for the players, and then we have the collective pool. And personally, without I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because I know people that are involved in this. Yeah. Arkansas can do better. We have the money in our backyard in Bentonville to raise the capital. This comes down to salesmanship, right? It comes down to being able to go to Tom and Stuart Walton and convincing them on why Arkansas winning a national championship is important to the economy of Northwest Arkansas. When you can convince them of that, then you have $1 billion family, a wallet that no other university can match, and the ability to go out and give opportunities to players who are top tier recruits.
See,
we have yet had anyone with that level of closability to be able to go to them and get them involved. And to me, and there's other Fortune 500 companies here, you can go to their website right now. You can look at their partnerships. You'll see companies like United Way. You'll see some other stuff, which is great stuff. They're doing great things. But there's a level that we can take this with our backyard being here in Northwest Arkansas that I don't think we're taking it right now. And I know I'm going to run into some of these people and I'm going to feel bad that I said that because I don't want to come like a dig. I'm just coming from an avenue where I've worked in the NFL with NFL level deals constantly. Yeah. And you're going, I had to go and hunt down deals, hunt them down, knock on doors, emails, set up meetings, set up coffee, set up lunch. And you have to do that type of stuff. And you got to bring out the big wigs when you want to get into Walmart. So I don't see why we haven't had leadership at the university. I don't see why we haven't had leadership in these collectives. Figure out a way to get these billion-dollar organizations here in our backyard more involved in our collective. And I think once we do that, we're going to see a lot more success because that's the world that we're living in now. And that's how Arkansas becomes successful.
People always talk about Walmart and be like, man, y'all got a billion-trillion-dollar company in your own backyard.
That's right.
Why in the hell would Walmart feel any need to get into this NIL game thinking that a good player in a national championship is going to help Walmart? We're talking about what does Singapore, the Walmarts there, have any? Do they care about Razorback football? Yeah, I think Walmart's global. I mean, they are so much bigger than Northwest Arkansas. So that's why I think sometimes when it comes to us thinking, man, we have all that money and we haven't seen one player, to my knowledge, with the Walmart NIL deal. I could be wrong. I don't see they fly Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in. They have NFL MVPs coming in. And a lot of these guys, they aren't paying those guys anything. Walmart's going, or The Rock saying, what do I need to do to get my product on your shelf?
Right.
And we do that. Walmart, I just don't see ever Walmart getting into that game, specifically with a program when you have a Walmart literally in every state in the United States. You know what I mean?
I hear you, and I just want to throw this at you because I think people need to think a little bit outside the box about this. So if you're familiar with Northwest Arkansas, I live here in Rogers, okay, and so a lot of people they're not here actively. They don't live here. They don't see what's going on up here. Why should they be invested in this? Why should they care about the University of Arkansas winning a national championship? Why would that matter?
I would say that. Why do they care? Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think they care about biking trails throughout the Ozark Mountains? They're an international company. What do they care about making some biking trails here? What about Thaden Field? A lot of people have heard of Thaden Field, might not have been there. It's a runway, private runway with restaurant, and discounted pilot classes and courses that you can take to get your license, private hangars for the entire Northwest Arkansas community to benefit from. Why is that here? Why are they actively trying to develop the National River, the Buffalo River here in Northwest Arkansas and kind of central North Arkansas? Why are they trying to make sure that that becomes an attraction and an area of national focus? Well, they're invested in making Northwest Arkansas an extremely attractive place to live, right? They're invested in the economy of Northwest Arkansas because they're trying to attract businesses to come here. They're trying to attract top-tier talent to come here. They're building a Silicon Valley in Bentonville right now that's 5 miles long. People don't know what's going on up here because they're not up here. So I would say Fayetteville is Northwest Arkansas. Fayetteville is Bentonville. Rogers is Fayetteville. It's all intertwined. It's Northwest Arkansas. Why would it benefit the Northwest Arkansas? Why would it become a more attractive place to live? Because when you have a national championship winning team, your economy is boosted tenfold. Millions and millions, billions of dollars. This is a billion-dollar industry. And you can change the culture here in Northwest Arkansas. It could become a much more entertaining, fun place to live. The same reason why they're invested in this private airport, the same reason why they're invested in these biking trails, the same reason why they're trying to get invested in turning the Buffalo River into a national park. These are things that they want to do to make Arkansas more attractive, and a national championship team that's top 10 BCS contending team every single year is an extreme attraction when you don't have a pro football team here in Arkansas. It's something for people to get behind. It's an entertainment for people to get involved in. And you have to have somebody go and sell that vision on how it benefits the entire ecosystem here in Northwest Arkansas for the Razorbacks to be a dominant team. And if you can do that, and the leadership should be doing that, they should be trying to do that, you can tap into an unlimited amount of funding and you can actually dominate.
Okay. Long story short, you want Walmart to sponsor some or endorse some players on the team.
I think that I think we need leadership that pulls that off. We need leadership that's doing that. I don't know why that's not happening.
I just told you why it's not happening. Like 10
well,
minutes.
You're wrong.
No, I'm
You're
not.
Wrong.
I'm right on this one. I'm telling you, it ain't happening. Tell me one brand ambassador for Walmart you can think of right now.
Your point is,
no, name one.
Name
one brand ambassador that Walmart has. Name one celebrity.
That's my point. Oh, they work with influencers all the time. What are you talking about?
Name one celebrity right now that is a brand ambassador for Walmart.
Again, they work with social media influencers all the time. They have one of the largest social media influencer campaigns where they're paying $10,000, $20,000 a post. That's true. That's reportable. You can go look that up. I can show you people that do it. I can put you in contact with social media moms that have 400,000 followers out there that are getting paid big money. Why do you not put that money? Why can they not allocate a larger amount of money? Because no one sold upper management on why it works for them. So it's a problem with our university. It's a problem with our NIL collective. It's a problem with our leadership that they haven't got them on board. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. They're not doing it. But I'm saying that's a problem with us.
But you see where they're spending their money. It's people who have a much broader reach than just playing football. They understand.
DJ, there's endless amounts of money. There's endless amounts of money. It's not just they're spending it. There's endless amounts of money to be spent at the university.
If you want Walmart to spend money at the university as far as NIL deals, you just need to hope that somebody in that family is a diehard Razorback fan and just wants to see them win. Beyond that, I just don't see it happening.
What Arkansas fans need to do is hope that we have some leadership that can go sell them on why it's important for Northwest Arkansas as a whole.
All right, well, we're going to put Walmart on hold. We're going to shelf them. Hopefully that works out. But if you are right and that happens, then yes, obviously that would definitely do big things. But then you get into the big part, as we are in our 45th minute here in our longest episode of 4th and 5, because it's a very interesting situation. It's just new territory. Can these kids at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old handle all this? I am 1,000% for players making money off their name, image, likeness, but more so for the ones that go out and get their own marketing deals. I'm not a fan of the collectives that are starting to pay these players and promise them money before they really even do anything on campus. And then I think it's just creating an environment that's making it hard to coach. That's making it hard to get more out of these players because they get this sense of comfortability or being comfortable
Yeah.
and a sense of fame and celebrity status that I don't think they're necessarily ready for right now. I just think there's a better way to do that. Perfect example. I mean, one of the biggest NIL makers in all of NCAA sports is a women's basketball player, Angel Reese. And I get hers is a little different because I don't think LSU's women's basketball has a huge collective paying a lot of money. Most of her stuff is coming from marketing deals. I think she
Right.
has the most marketing deals with many different companies, and she is a millionaire making great money from NIL deals. Now, at the same time, star player, hard worker, always moving 1,000%. She's aggressive on the court. She's not even playing right now. The coach has her on the bench. And now it's for disciplinary issues. There's some stuff that's preventing her. I think maybe have some struggle of wanting to go to class, or not necessarily going to class, but getting the grades. Maybe not being able to be coached up or told this and that. And when I was at LSU and I was walking out, I was standing on the field. Angel Reese was there at the game, for the Arkansas LSU game. And when she walked in, obviously everyone knew who she was. But what I saw in that moment is she loved the attention. She was consumed by it. And you can tell that someone who hasn't had that before, and it all hit her at once. And she walked in. I get the love, but when you start expecting it, you can just kind of see. It's hard to explain, but I really do think it impacted her on a big way. And ever since then, you know, off season, she's doing her thing. I love it. She may even decide, I don't even want to do basketball anymore. I'm just going to be a social media influencer. But it's, as far as coaches are concerned, it's very hard to build a program when you give all of this money to players who aren't mentally ready to have it yet. And the reason I say that, Josh, I mean, shoot, I'll be honest, I was one of the hardest working players in high school. I remember this like it was yesterday. We were playing high school off season, and I would work out. And there was one day specifically, I remember I wanted to do a little bit more. It was you, Ryan Farr, John Riley, and Drew Stringfellow. Y'all are all kind of sitting down against the wall, and I was doing more. And y'all all said, "Oh, look at this guy doing extra reps." You know, I just wanted it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I remember like it was
That's
yesterday.
right.
And I wanted it. I just wanted to be better. I don't care what it took. Same thing when I got to college. The tight end that was starting above me, I would always do extra. Oh, DJ just trying to do extra. No, no, no. I got my starting job. It was just how I was. Because I remember being broke, living in shelters, trying to buy a Snicker bar, my credit card getting declined. I was like, I'm sick of this.
Right.
And then I got my signing bonus. And I'll tell you how quickly your mind changes when you see you have $4.34 in your bank account one day, then you have $235,000 the next day. You tend to get comfortable. And that even happened to me. And after going through being developed in college and spending more time in the NFL, it just comes with a sense of comfortability. And I just think you're giving these guys money that essentially is making them professionals when they're not ready for it. And I can see this NIL eventually start taking a turn to the worse unless the coaching staff starts having people in that program who are equipped to deal with it. I know it's something they don't want to have to pay for and it's something extra, but it's part of it. The perfect example in college football, Josh, is Texas A&M. Remember 2 years ago, NIL became a thing. And when I say they spent so much money on players, it was unreal. You had guys coming in 7 figures, 6 figures, all across the board. They ended up having the #1 recruiting class in college football. 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. It was like, yeah. Usually that's Bama, that's Georgia, that's Ohio State. It's all these other schools. Texas A&M is killing it. They got Jimbo Fisher there. What do they have to show for it now? They fired their coach, and they are having one of the worst seasons they've had in a long time. How does that add up when you have the best players in college football on one team and you can't get it together and it seems like you can't coach them? There's a way to do it. And I think right now they don't have it figured out yet, but it is making, like when I see KJ, I think he is so talented. But I think he still has so much more room to grow. But I think his bank account is allowing him to be a little bit comfortable. We've seen it on tape this year. And I think he knows, and I think if he's not careful, the most money he will make playing football will be this year or next year if he decides to come back.
Okay. Let me agree with you then. But I'm gonna say put that same exact thought to Sam Pittman's contract extension and his comfortability. Put that same exact thought to Jimbo Fisher's contract with Texas A&M and then his comfortability in production. If we're gonna apply it to the players, apply it to everybody else.
I agree.
And then if that's the case, well, then make the same rule for the coaches that you want to make for the players.
What's that?
Because everybody's making money. Whatever it is, whatever rule you want to come up with, whatever deciding factor you come up with, let's apply that same rule to everybody across the board.
Before you get on that, whatever you're getting on, I wasn't even.
Yeah, you don't like that.
No, I was specifically saying, coaches aside, if you give these kids something they're not ready for, it's going to end up hurting them in the long run. And we've already seen it.
Well, I agree. Okay. Well, if you give these coaches, these adult men, something that they're not ready for, it seems to have the same outcome. That's all I'm saying. Money creates comfortability, and the cream rises to the top. And people get paid a lot and flop. And that just tends to be what comes of it. But we can't change it because that's the way it is. And so we better have coaches that get on board with it. They better get on board with the transfer portal, and we better, as an organization and a coaching staff, get on board with this NIL situation. Because Coach Muss has embraced it, and you see what the basketball team is doing.
All right.
And our football team better start embracing it.
So coaches aside, once again, do you see a world, like I said earlier, I want these guys to get paid, Josh, performance-based pay? Do you think that
I think that's where we're going. I think that's where we're going, but we're going there because the colleges want to protect themselves, right? The collectives want to protect themselves, but we all know it's the colleges. So I think that slowly but surely you're going to start ending up with more performance-based pay. But guess what? Who will always have guaranteed money? Quarterbacks.
No,
I don't think we're going to get. I think we're just going to slowly trend to more performance based, but it's still going to be like the NFL, DJ. We're still going to end up where certain positions end up with a little bit more guaranteed status. I think that's what'll happen.
I would like there to be some kind of certain separation between NFL and NCAA. But just for instance, can you maybe paint that picture for me? You're talking about, okay, per 100 rushing yards, you get this dollar amount. Per tackles, you get this dollar amount.
Right. I think eventually what you'll see is collectives will have performance-based measures into their contract. You know, a 1,000-yard season is going to get you this your freshman year, this your sophomore year, this your junior year, and it'll be an incremental, to try to become more competitive. But I think all colleges are going to do that because they're all going to start collectively doing it, and they're going to kind of even out the marketplace, make it a little bit more fair for them. It's the same way real estate agents do houses, right? Well, when all the agencies out there are more or less charging a 6% commission rate, it kind of benefits all the agencies to be able to kind of do business as usual because you can't really get anyone to represent you without having that 6% deal. So the colleges will all start doing a little bit more performance-based contracts. I just think, or contracts, endorsement deals, NIL deals, where they will be paid a little bit better based on their performance. I think you'll start to see that. They'll figure out a way to tier things. I'm just saying that, extremely popular recruited players and positions probably will be able to still receive, more or less guaranteed NIL money. You're still going to see that because other colleges will do it. You'll just take a bigger risk on a star quarterback than you will an offensive lineman.
So I know we have I saw something online. I don't know if this is right or wrong. So you're telling me an offensive lineman that we have, NIL valuation around $160,000. Instead of saying we're going to give you that in NIL, we tell him we're going to give you $25,000 per game that you don't allow a sack. I'm just saying. Right, saying in that scenario, in which scenario do you think that player is going to play better?
Oh, 100%. He's going to play in the incentive-based. I'm for incentive-based stuff. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm actually for that. I would love that because you're gonna
and we'll say
create. You're gonna Right. It'll save the game. You're going to create.
Let's save the guaranteed money for the NFL, but at least in college, maybe that's the way to go. I don't know.
I don't think the NCAA is going to create a rule for that, but I think that collectively across the board, you'll see more NIL collectives start to structure their NIL deals that way, more of a performance based. But I just think that those major positions, those highlighted positions, are going to always kind of warrant, in order to sway them to come to your university, more of a guaranteed style contract.
Unless there's a unanimous agreement between NCAA and all, I guess, collectives that they're aware of, that they're not going to do that, and it's always going to be performance-based.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, you're right. I just don't know if that's going to happen, to be honest with you. I think that maybe it could. Maybe it could. Maybe that's the answer to kind of even the playing field. Maybe you're on to something.
It was a lot to digest.
That was a lot.
Coming up on an hour, 4th and 5, our Thanksgiving edition. Like I said, we always like when people share, comment. Please comment as much as possible because we love to hear your questions. Right. We love meeting y'all out in public. But Josh, before we wrap this up, I got to give a shout out. I want to start giving out an MVP of the week. You know what I mean? I got my lady over here. She thinks I'm about to have her be MVP of the week. She's MVP of my day every day of the week. So you like that, babe? But I'm thinking big shout out. I'm going to give one to the University of Arkansas's social media manager. I mean, this guy, what he brings to the table, Josh, it's unreal. I'm so impressed.
What's he doing?
He's putting together content that is just top notch. And the comment section is just brutal. Oh my gosh. I'm looking at all these hype videos, and it's, we just lose to Auburn 48-10. And he's out there posting some cool pictures, of Cam Little, and the comments just. But the thing is, Josh, when I look at this guy's position, man, it's not his fault. He's got to post. He's got to post. He ain't got no choice.
His boss is telling him to.
Yeah,
that's right.
I said, I know it's not, it's a little tone deaf, and we just got killed, but. Hey, man, I need you to come through on that post tonight. So, hey, big shout out to whoever that media manager is, because I'll tell you this. The photos, the hype videos, that stuff is fire. All right, I don't care what anybody's commenting. You keep doing your thing. I get it's tough. I mean, Josh, imagine being in charge of saying, "Hey, I know we have 3 wins on the year, and we just lost to Auburn, but I'm going to need you to make you seem like we're about to win a national championship today." It's
That's
tough.
right.
It's
That's
hard.
Right. Hey. Right, when you're losing games, but KJ's breaking records, and you got to put out a post about that, and everybody's just dogging you, just dragging you in the comments.
That inbox.
Oh man, hey, well, let me say this before we go, because I know you're about to wrap it up. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something for real, brother to brother. You got to start treating Ebony better, because if you don't, she's gonna get in that transfer portal. You feel me?
That's
what I'm talking about.
Babe,
I'm just looking out for you.
No, she right over there. Yeah, we good. We good.
Good.
We on full scholarship guaranteed over here. We good. Oh man, that's fun stuff. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all tuning in each and every week. You're watching 4th and 5.